welcome to Ram Film Reviews. What's up, guys? This is another day, another movie. We got a special guest.
Yep. This is one of my best friends, also my barber. Which, obviously I need to make an appointment. But this is Armando, also known as what's the handle for them to follow for your blessed haircuts?
Armando's Muse.
Armando's Muse
on Instagram.
On Instagram, and you can check out the amazing work he does with the clippers. And to me, he's one of the best out there. So I would suggest go check him out.
Appreciate that.
But he's also one that admires films and admires movies, and came and hung out with us and enjoyed back-to-back movies. And we're gonna start with this incredible piece, and it's not incredible because of the movie. It's more incredible because of everything that comes along with the backstory and everything.
Not the backstory of the movie itself, but also the director.
Yeah.
Paul, how do we pronounce it?
Paul Naschy.
Naschy.
Yeah.
He's from, born in Spain, and just the history. But yeah, back to Armando. So it's Muse, M-U-S-E or Z?
M-U-S-E.
So Armando, M-U-S-E.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right.
It can be your muse.
It's great.
So this is a different take.
Yeah.
Our first
I'm gonna give you guys
special guest. He enjoyed the movie. We had fun talking back to back. Pausing the movie, he gave his own opinion. So it was really fun.
Completely wrong.
What? No, actually, we all were right and wrong at the same time,
which is good.
Yeah, we all got bits and pieces of the.
Like the cream filling between an Oreo with you guys.
So here's the artwork. Here's the artwork of the movie.
If Randall was wearing black, yeah, look.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Curse of the Devil. Should make me go run and get a black shirt real quick. Curse of the Devil. You can see the artwork there, and then you can see the back of it. You get some imagery there that's kind of like in the medieval times.
Yeah, if you're a big fan of the Universal Monsters, Paul was he grew up on that. He was born in 1909, I believe.
No, he was born in 19.
Oh, sorry, 1934.
Yeah, 1934.
He died in 2009.
2009.
Yeah.
So the original title, since he's from Spain, is called El Retorno de Walpurgis.
Walpurgis.
And Walpurgis is the German folklore, Night of the Witches. So, like I said, there's so much backstory to this that Rando and I, and hopefully Armando, we dig more into Paul Naschy's filmography.
Yeah.
And he also stars as the main character in his movies, which is amazing. So, yeah.
Well, that kind of just fell in the lap, right? So, the backstory with him is he was originally like a very fond follower for Robin Hood and Zorro. Those were his heroes that he followed as he grew up. And then all of a sudden, Lon Chaney Jr. comes out with the Wolfman. And all of a sudden, his new aspiration, his new hero becomes the Wolfman, because if people who know the original Universal Monsters Wolfman, you're talking about a man who's broken, who's trying to fix himself. He's not trying to be the monster he's made to be. He's trying to escape that reality, and it becomes that kind of heroic version of him. Like all of a sudden, he's trying to avoid being the killer, but he can't avoid it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, which I think yourself, Randall, Armando, myself, we see that, and also you, the viewer, you could see yourself as the Wolfman. Basically, you see yourself as a certain type of individual. You can't break certain habits, addiction, etc.
Yeah.
So, and another thing.
And the confusion it brings along with it, because as he stated in the movie, he was like, I recall certain things, but then I black out and I don't remember nothing after that. So it's like, to what you're saying, breaking that cycle that he says, I want to, but I can't, or I can't, but I want to. So it makes, it's great, like the way he portrayed that, and he embraced it too. It's like Randall said as well about how it became his idol, his thing of wanting to be like. Now I want to reprise the role of Wolfman.
Exactly, and what was it? How many films he's made as the Wolfman? When it got to this, like 12 or 7 times.
No, it was more than 12. I think
this is this is the 7th series.
Yeah, I think it was like 8 times he reprised the role of Daninsky, which is the name of the character, right? Daninsky is. This is the thing. Like, there is this great interview in this piece, in this DVD of Paul Naschy, whose real name is Jacinto Molina, because he is Spaniard, but due to trying to promote the movie and put it out there, the name Jacinto is not going to sell in the U.S. and not going to sell in the U.K. So he went with Paul Naschy. He created that name from things that he knew in his surroundings. But ultimately, I forgot where I was going with this part.
But before he gathers his thoughts.
Yeah.
Back in Spain, let's say this movie was made in around the early 70s.
Yeah.
The Spanish horror wasn't a big thing. So
yeah, this was a crossover to pushing Spaniard horror to a new level. The genre wasn't anything that was relevant or heavy, sought out after, including what he considered it would become extremely exotic for there to be horror films in Spain.
Was the Spanish Inquisition?
So yeah, what happened is during the era of when a lot of these movies came about, you're talking about people who grew out of what was the Spanish Inquisition and all the violence and everything that happened around that whole entire era of violence and a lot of things that were put into play, a lot of ways that religion was used in manners of violence and stuff like that. So anything that had symbolisms, anything that brought violence was frowned upon because it brings back that history to a lot of the people in Spain. So they kind of avoided it all the way. They were just like, we don't want this in our lives. We don't want people coming out here with crosses and stuff like that in our movies to represent violence.
Yeah, exactly. Based on layman's terms, what Randall was saying is in a lot of Naschy's films, well, this one too, basically he interpreted what was happening in Spain. You know, like what's the word? Not subliminal messages, but what's the word, man?
He was kind of recreating, in a way, but through using the world of like Universal monsters or horror pictures, kind of like unleashing everything that he was raised upon and raised through in his films. So he was like, I lived this, like I lived the violence, I lived all this, and this is what I'm expressing is what is in me. And that's how he found his out. You know, he let all that violence and all that stuff that was in him out in movies. And it was what opened the door for, what is the beginning of a long stretch of Spaniard horror that happened mostly, a lot of it, through Paul Naschy himself. Because he went all the way through, his last film was when, 2009?
Well, it came out in 2010. I think it's called Pumas. It's like a vampire belief movie.
Yeah.
But he passed away in 2009, so he was working on that.
But to add to what Randall was saying too, is just that seeing his little interview on the DVD, he expressed about how it was also his outlet for his surroundings, about all the things he's endured, he's gone through.
Exactly.
So he used these films to bring that out, as Randall has stated before.
Yeah.
I wanted to bring up also, as a side note, ironically, yesterday was his birthday, since he's already past 12.
Yeah.
So we watched this movie, ironically, on his birthday. How crazy is that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like he was saying, so it was like, it was his outlet to express himself and use these movies as what we was going through by his time.
Yeah.
See, this is what I love. I just gathered, we added another person.
And that happens.
To this, another friend, friend. And just like more information, I didn't notice that it was his birthday. Just like what a coinky thing.
Whatever, that's what I'm saying. Ironically, what a coinky thing. We saw this movie on his born day, which is fucking insane.
And this is literally the first time me and Mac and Armando, of course, because that we get introduced. Because me and Mac watch more of these kind of movies. The older versions of the older movies or whatever, and we're trying to introduce to other friends, and this is why we share these with you, so you guys can maybe go get in and get influenced, just like, you know, Armando stuck around and all of a sudden he sees this and he's like, damn, I see why you guys do this.
Yeah.
So it becomes that, and
yeah, I'm about to cut you off again, Randall, which I always fucking do.
Yeah.
I'm such an asshole. But since I want to give Armando the spotlight,
yeah,
don't get nervous.
I never get
my
nervous.
little Oreo. All right.
Hey, I'm a creep feeling.
So yeah, just give your opinion, because I remember, like what Randall was saying, you were like, hey, I see why you guys do this.
Yeah.
It's pretty fun, like, you know. So yeah,
yes,
tell the viewers, yeah,
it's like,
what you
it's like
experienced.
Yeah, but it's like I told you guys earlier before we started even getting on the live, like we were standing up and just giving, you know, a little dialogue about our thought process of the movie, what we thought, you know, et cetera, et cetera. Like, I've always liked horror films, right? But I never really dove deep into them. You know, dove deep into them as like backstory, whys, or why they want to reprise these roles, or why they wanted to do what they do, or where the creativity came from it. And now seeing this movie, seeing the interview from Paul, is like, oh shit. Now I see why these people could take certain things very, very, very seriously, whether it's a certain genre, whether it's a certain character, whether it's what I'm looking for is basically like they felt this passion towards this. Like if I was to, like, for instance, like cut hair, or you doing this right now on IG Live, expressing your likes and dislikes about certain films and etc. Exactly. So now for me, seeing what you guys are doing with this, now I see why you guys do it, period, because this shit is freaking awesome, yo. Like, you know, you don't only just see the movie for its dialogue or what the backstory is, but now you guys seeing the movie not just for the characters' development, the actual people who are playing the characters, where they came from, the connection that you get from them. So now, seeing this now gives me a whole different view of not just the. I wanted to add this to this.
Yeah, go for it.
And I think you guys could agree with me somewhat on this.
You're free to say
we're always thrown in our face like, you gotta watch this movie.
Yeah.
Or you gotta watch this horror movie because it's the in thing, right?
Exactly, yeah.
But now, when you dig deep into the archives of all these different type of horror movies, and you start to find these diamonds in the rough.
Yeah, like the granddaddies.
Yo, that's what I'm saying. This shit's fucking amazing. Like, this is so different.
Yeah, and like,
you know,
because what you say horror, what do you think about? Michael.
That's what I'm saying.
The slashers, the regular slashers.
The regular slashers.
Not to say, because I love them and not bashing on them, but there's so much more into horror that it's like, me as a horror fan, Brandon's a horror fan, you as a horror fan, like, it just gives us more perspective, and like, we want to dig deeper. This movie with Paul Naschy, he has, Brandon, what would you say, a good 20-something films or so?
In total?
I
mean, he has a lot of films.
Based on the Universal monsters, because he plays Frankenstein's monster, Dracula.
He played. He ended up playing a bunch of the monsters, including he also played Jekyll and Hyde in a movie.
Yes.
Jack the Ripper.
He played the devil in a movie.
The devil, yeah.
So that's another one. We immediately, as soon as we ended this, immediately started searching for ways to get the entire collection of Paul Naschy, because hearing him talk about his admiration and his love for his creation and being a part of these films immediately inspired us to want to see more. Now, we'll say, like, let's say this movie, Curse of the Devil, won't be, like, let's say, the greatest, like, fucking werewolf movie or any of that, you know, but not by any standard. What made it so much better is the backstory and everything behind it and everything that added to it once we saw the interviews and the descriptions of how it led to happen, and him playing the role when they originally reached out to Lon Chaney Jr., but Lon Chaney Jr. at the time was in bad health and literally died months after the movie released. 2 months, So Lon Chaney Jr. was unavailable for that, and everyone knows Lon Chaney Jr. is like the epitome or the beginning of the Wolfman. That is the Wolfman that we all know from beginning. So they paid homage to it in this movie as well in transformation phases.
Yeah, you can clearly see it.
Yeah, they did such a great job with it. But as a whole, Paul Naschy fell into the role. He wanted to be a werewolf, and he said it to his mother when he was a child and saw Wolfman. He was like, I want to be a werewolf. But, you know, he wasn't an actor. He wasn't truly an actor. He played a couple of small minimal roles because he worked in the industry.
Yeah.
He was an athlete on the side, a powerlifter. And then he did other things. He was an artist too. He would draw for comic books and for album labels, like draw the cover art. So he had a whole other length of career he could have done in other things. And then an opportunity came up when the director looks at him and says, how about you do the role? And
which
they
was,
did
I think was Argentinian director Leon Kilowski,
something like that.
Kilowski. But yeah, like Randall was saying, he had all these abilities. Why he chose to be a director? His own choosing.
A writer, director,
his own
actor.
vision. And the thing is, nobody really believed in him
as an actor.
Yeah, and as a director as well.
Yeah.
He just stuck to it. He's like, no, I'm making something of this.
Yeah.
And he fucking did it. So just again, just proving to everybody, myself included, that if you stick to it, you believe in it, it's gonna fucking work out.
Yeah.
No matter how much rejection you get. But yeah, that's just another thing that I can relate to Paul Naschy. It just makes me love him as a person. And
the person that pointed him out to be the role wasn't Leon. Leon was the best friend that he had, and then they had like a disagreement.
Oh, the King of Kings, right?
And Enrique Lopez Aguiles was the guy who saw it in him, and it was the story that one, which was La Marca del Hombre Lobo, the mark of the Wolfman, was written by Jacinto, which is Paul Naschy.
Okay.
And then he was trying to pitch the script everywhere he could. People laughed him out of the room, they were saying, "How can we expect this Spaniard to like come in here trying to make horror films when the only ones who make horror films are the U.S. and the UK?"
Yeah, UK.
That's it. U.S., UK, they own the genre. No one else can do it. And I look at Mac at exactly when we hear this point. I'm like, if only he could know and see what they've done now with like a show like 30 Coins on HBO. If you haven't seen 30 Coins, you need to go watch 30 Coins. It is fantastic. But it's a new elevation where you're seeing that different nations and countries are participating in these genres and doing great things. And they're doing things that you haven't seen in the United States, things you don't see in the UK, because they are experimental. They're having fun with it. They're doing things that are just unusual, weird, and different. And we're getting that. And the pathway, the opening for that starts with Paul Naschy and what he kept pursuing and pushing, and found his ways and his loopholes, because in Spain you can't film certain violent scenes, you couldn't film nude scenes, you couldn't film certain things. So he filmed in France, but based it in Spain. He did all these things to try and create his world and his universe, and he found ways around everything to get what he wanted to get done. And that's why it's a much credit to him and to the universe and the world he created around characters that he loved and admired and wanted to go ahead and personify on a screen.
Yeah, it's like, I wanted to add to what Randall was saying, is that it's like he became like the trendsetter somehow, some way, for how violent scenes were filmed.
Yeah. Moving
into his new era.
Yeah.
Why? Is because like he stated in his interview, he said, what's the originator, the person who played the werewolf the first time?
Lon Chaney Jr.
Lon Chaney Jr. They were showing his transformation to a werewolf, and then it'll just be a cutoff scene, and then in the next scene it'll be about a dead body. Yeah. But no, with Paul, you saw the actual scene of him biting or slashing, jumping out the trees, coming and actually killing. Yeah. So he transitioned that completely, and people were like, "Oh shit!
Yeah, more animation.
This is more animation. Yeah. Now I actually get to see this." So you got to give credit where credit is due. He's like the entrepreneur of that shit. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I get what you're saying.
And this one marked the difference, because even the ones he did before weren't as gory, weren't as violent, because he was limited, because he wasn't the person in charge. Yeah. He wasn't the person directing or pushing it until he met somebody who allowed him to stretch himself more, which ends up being Leon, right? And then
there you go.
And then in this film, it's like, okay, this is the first one where they go all out with the action sequences, with the blood,
the sexiest and goriest Naschy film, I guess.
Yeah.
They put it.
Yeah, that's what they got considered the first of the sexier, gorier films that he was able to put out before continuing what he did with the rest of his career. but this was the and I've used this word a lot tonight, the catalyst to open that door up for him and open the door in Spanish horror and in everything that he did with all his characters.
But yeah, it's just we want to give Paul Naschy credit.
Yeah.
We just fell in love with the guy and his work.
Yeah.
With what we're learning.
Yeah.
But yeah, to speak on the film, what would you say the era, like medieval times? I mean,
well, it started in medieval times.
Oh,
It definitely started in medieval times.
Which is like witches against
it's Satanists, occultists versus Catholics or Christians, right? I would say Christians probably.
Let's just think of saints right now.
Yeah, they called basically saints, but
yeah, and there was like a fight because they turned certain nuns into Satanists. And I believe they were just fighting.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to explain it. I'm sorry.
It's like basically like Randall and you were saying, Mac. It's like it was a cult of witches, right? That wanted to go against the saints because of their own beliefs or their own strength and power. You never know what it is. There was no real backstory there.
I mean, the backstory they gave, the most that they gave, was obviously the battle between occult versus religious beliefs is always something that's existed for a long period of time, including when it's religion versus religion. But in this instance, it's about Satanists versus saints. Right?
Yeah.
We'll use that term because they never really specified really. But what happens is there's a fight, and
somebody dies.
The saint kills one of the Satanists, and that opens the door for what becomes the curse of the devil.
The devil.
So that's what opens the door for that, and that's the backstory that you get that leads to what happens in this movie. And ultimately, it moves to, what era would that would technically be like, it's still horse and carriage era.
Yeah, there's no cars.
I say like early 1900s, bro.
There are guns. They have a holster. They have a.
That's why I say that.
I want to say a butterfly knife, but they have a little flippy knife or whatever you fucking call it. They have just certain modern things that the 70s had.
It would have to be 1800s because the first automobile was still in the late 1800s.
Oh yeah.
So it would have to be because
they had pistol revolvers.
All right, let's just throw it out there. 1850. That's it.
I suck with my history, so
I suck at history too. But I'm just saying, because it's like Randall stated.
I mean, the way I put it out there was, there's still horse and carriage. The way people were dressed and all that kind of puts me into the belief of the era of like Jack the Ripper and that kind of thing. Yeah. So it's 1800s to me, and
because he has a suit also, he has a 3-piece suit on in the movie also.
Yeah.
The lady has a summer hat. You know what I'm saying? So that's what threw me off too. So I thought it was the 1900s.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But what I want to throw in there, let's talk a little bit about the details in the film, like in the actual scenes. I think we should like transition there a little bit right now. Mm-hmm. I love that scene where they capture the Satanists doing their ritual in the beginning, right?
Oh, in the beginning. So this is where the Satanists were doing their ritual.
Yes.
To get revenge and put the curse.
Well, I think at that point they're trying to bring back the
they're trying to bring back the husband that got beheaded by the saints.
Yeah.
And I love that scene, the way it was shot, because when they had brought them outside, that's you could tell
I know
was shot from a zoom, from a long scope, right? So you see the nice bridge from the castle, from the household, what you want to call it, right? But then it's like this paragram where the bridge is kind of sideways, and then you see all the bodies hanging. Yeah. So you see the bodies like this, right? Yeah. So not horizontally and not vertical, but like in an angle. I think that was a great. The photographer,
cinematographer,
was great on that, right? Yeah. So that's what captivated me. That made me say, okay, now I'm gonna sit my ass up and I'm gonna watch this movie for real.
There you go. See,
you know what I'm saying?
So he saw the perspective of the movie and what the director and everybody in the film were trying to do.
Yeah, because reality is, we were laughing at the beginning scenes because it was a horse fight, right?
Yeah.
The fight between the two medieval characters, which is the saint and the Satanist. They're fighting on horseback, and we kind of just were laughing at that because it was really the choreography on that scene. You could tell was lackluster with the horses.
Yeah, the horses weren't trained.
They couldn't control them well enough.
It was zooming in like too much.
Yeah, they did.
The sound
it was shaky.
I'm gonna guess that the zooming was done to avoid the longer shot looking as bad as it probably would have looked.
Correct.
Yeah,
you know, and that's probably why they did all the credits during that scene as well.
Oh yeah, the credits were like super fucking big as fuck.
And covering
the whole scene, yeah.
But you can hear the fighting, you can hear that they were talking and all that stuff. So it kind of give you the imagery, with avoiding showing you the full view of, you know, how bad this part could be. And then, like what Armando here is explaining, is what comes up is the scene where they're trying to revive the husband. The witches are the occultists that are trying to commit this.
It's a ritual. It wasn't a sacrifice.
Yeah,
it wasn't a sacrifice.
They get arrested and then they get sent direct to execution because this is a time where anything that's witches or anything like that immediately get burned at the stake, or they used to drown them, or they used to
lynch them. Or I hate to say that word, but
they would go by hanging.
Mm-hmm.
So in this scene, they go ahead and show how they grab all the witches, occultists, and do the executions. That scene was spectacular.
Yes.
Yeah, especially
because everything looked real.
Yeah.
Especially coming from the early 70s.
Yeah.
I was like, you know, I didn't say it to them, but I was in my head. I was like questioning myself, how did they do this?
I thought they got hung for real. I'm not even gonna lie to you.
No, there's certain films when they show people being hung. You could tell like the little wire or something being exposed. With this, it was really hard.
Yeah, it was very hard to tell. I mean, I'm pretty sure what they ended up doing was, because I think in one of them you can kind of see that's a doll at that point. So
it was a quick cutaway, though.
It was a quick cutaway.
Yeah.
And whoever edited that scene was on point because you couldn't really tell. For me, it was just one moment where I see one of them kicked over, where you kind of see how the arms fall already.
Oh yeah.
So that's where I noticed it for me, but still, it looked fantastic. And then you get the view, the panoramic view, the long view, where you see, not only do you see all the ones that get hung and executed by hanging, but then you see the one main witch occultist that was set on fire.
Yes,
and you still see the fire burning the body of that one
as it
while you
zooms
see
out.
it.
Yes, that was so great.
It was such a beautiful scene in the sense of the horror.
To add to what Mac was saying, so what you were saying also is about the wires and stuff like that. You didn't know how they got hung. I think what also camouflaged that was that bright daylight scene that they did it in.
True.
Because it was in bright daylight. It wasn't at nighttime.
Zoomed in.
You know exactly. So I think the lighting also helped.
You're not gonna see any glimmer.
And a glimmer or nothing. So that also probably helped out, which would made that scene even greater because them being hung actually looked real shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It looked amazingly real.
Yeah.
That's true, man.
They did a really good job with it. But yeah, I would say a lot of the cinematography in the movie itself was really well done. A lot of the sequences with the werewolf and his attacks and all that stuff were well done. The death scenes were well done. Like when you talk about the axe murderer.
Oh yeah.
And his reappearance after he's been murdered.
Yeah.
I think we're all gonna go out the limb right now and say he stole the show. Aside from Paul.
Yeah,
he stole the show, right?
His character, we call him the axe murderer because he's going about with an axe and just killing people. That came out of nowhere. I was like, there's more to this character. I know there's a wolf man. You know, I know the backstory, blah blah, from the past.
But the story, the story with the axe murder was that he was an escaped convict who was already known as a killer, a murderer, and he escaped in that area. Which I was explaining that I feel like that was the perfect cover for the birth of the Wolfman, because now every death that happens is going to be blamed on the axe murderer and not on the werewolf. So it kind of gives you a reason to have an extended length of a movie instead of having, a short film where 2-3 people die and they're like, it's a wolf man.
Yeah.
No, they gave you a reason to be like, oh, it's the axe murderer. No, it's the axe murderer. It's a human person.
What I also liked was after the medieval time, the execution of the occultists. Time passes. They don't say how many decades, maybe centuries. Would you say centuries, right?
Yeah.
I guess it's modern time, and there's a scene where there's the main guy, Daninsky, and I guess his friend or whatnot were chasing a wolf.
Yeah.
Through the forest. They both had shotguns, double barrels.
Well, that's supposed to be that's already when they're in the 1800s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a few scenes that makes you think, like, do they know what's been going on? Is there a werewolf? Is there a wolf? Something's killing people. Because as you know, how to kill a werewolf, it's with silver bullet, anything like that. So there's little hints of like, here's silver bullet. So yeah.
But I think truly that Daninsky was oblivious to the silver bullet.
Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah. Like my theory, actually, the theory came to be like what I thought, which was that the old man, his valet, knew.
He knew the backstory.
The valet knew the backstory and knew the history. His maid knew the history because she knew from the deathbed of his father. Yeah,
that blind lady knew.
The blind lady knew about the history too, but
I like how his maid was covering up for him. I think it was badass.
Yeah.
That was dope.
Yeah, that's a good
that
maid.
loyalty was there,
Correct.
Yeah, she showed beyond
loyalty.
Yeah, because in that scene, I was saying Daninsky is chasing a wolf. He shoots it. He looks behind the bush, and it's a gypsy. It's a human.
Yeah.
And he's like, "What have I done?" And so he's really confused about it. But then
and then he asks, "Where did the Wolverine go?"
Yeah,
because he thought he saw a Wolverine. What he saw was, a werewolf, but figured it was a Wolverine. Yeah. And then when he shot him, finds a dead man.
Exactly.
And that's how the curse starts.
Correct. Yeah, because in the beginning, the main occultist said, if you, in the near future, one of your kin is going to kill one of mine.
Mistakenly.
Yeah, mistakenly, and then the curse is.
That's when the curse will enact.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, gentlemen, speaking about the ladies in these films, how was that?
They did a great casting choice with everything. Yeah. Like, everything was fantastically well done. Everything was done respectfully. Okay. I feel like everything was done respectfully when it comes to terms of like the sexualizing of the nudity involved in the movie itself.
It was like art. It wasn't like no host shit. Here you go. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It wasn't anything that I would say was over exaggerated or done in a tasteless manner. Everything seemed to be done with the purpose of the film and to progress the film.
Yeah, because what if you say occultist, Satanists, some people will be like, oh, they have sexual rituals, so that was in there. The typical woman in love with the alpha male of the film.
Yeah.
So, but I'm just a fan of the 70s women, beautiful women.
Yeah.
What else was another thing that stuck out was Armando?
Well, I stuck out. No, I'm playing.
I had a brain fart. I'm sorry.
No. So what I want to add too is also you saw what I enjoyed. Like one of the first glimpses I enjoyed. Like I saw it as why I was saying about the whole art thing. It didn't come off tasteless, like Randall said.
Yeah.
Or on some whole shit. It was like that scene also when they go down to the dungeon when they're also now getting the other girls to fall into ritual.
Yeah.
Right? From when the witch came down, the modern day witch, the newer one that wanted to get Daninsky, right? To turn into a werewolf.
Yeah.
And you see that he tells them, or she tells them, get on your knees for this and this and this and this and this, and you already know what's about to be reenacted, but then the camera just slides away.
Yeah, transition.
So it transitions, so it's done in a good format. It's not done on some, alright, you already know what the fuck is gonna happen. Like, they left it to the imagination of, like, either they're gonna kill her, or she's gonna get this dude head. No, dead ass, right?
Yeah,
like I gotta say how it is. You know what I'm saying? But that's the way they made it seem like you could still have some imagination for you to see. Okay, what's gonna happen here?
Yeah.
Exactly. So what Armando's saying is they were doing another ritual, and I believe they were summoning Satan.
Yeah.
Because it was just out of nowhere.
A black figure.
Yeah.
It looks like a black shadow, black figure. It's just a guy dressed
black suit. Yeah.
All black suit. Looks like a, what would you say that?
Like the CGI outfits that they use, where they're just like a completely green suit.
Yeah,
but
the green suit. There
it's all black.
It's all black.
That's what it ends up being, because you see fabric ripples.
Oh, you saw the zipper, right?
Yeah.
You saw the zipper.
Yeah, and you see the zipper in one. You get the classic Star Trek moment where it's a smoke screen supposed to block out the zipper, but no, buddy. You got that. You got the clear glimpse of a white line going right down the back. So I was like, is that a zipper? And then, Mac was like, I think I just saw a zipper too.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it was pretty, I mean, again, in these times, this is when they're trying to do everything with physical, the physical limitations, right? You don't have CGI. You don't have the existence of all the technology that we have now for this. But this is one of the reasons I love these kind of movies, and movies like the other one we're going to talk about later on, where they had to work with materials to create what you see. You know, like when you see that version of the Wolfman, they had to do makeup and all this kind of craziness, where he said he had to sit in the chair for 7 hours just to get the Wolfman thing up. And you're talking about you need him to start it, then go, film, come back, do more, start it, go back, film, go back, and keep on until you film every scene type of thing, you know? And I miss that being a big part in film.
Because I better cut you off again. It just feels like movies are lazy nowadays. They would rather spend, I think, a few seconds of CGI is a good 10 to 20 grand. They'd rather spend that kind of money to put in CGI due to
CGI is stupid expensive.
Due to I think it was like time limit, budget. I mean, even budget sounds ridiculous, but they'd rather spend that money than actually pay special effects
or makeup artists.
Makeup artists for props. You know, so what Randall's saying also is just we just love that creativity and just what man can do to make, stuff look realistic and
with what they have in front of them, rather than going behind a computer. Not saying it's a bad thing, but it's the truth. You're like chopping off a part of it, the art. You know what I mean? Of filmmaking, of the makeup artists, of special effects.
Yeah, we get things change and the industry changes.
And I want to add to that because, like, I wanted to bring this up too. Now that we're talking about certain things. And now you said that is about the scenery in the movie was great. A lot of movies nowadays, they'll shoot some sorts of like scenes in part of towns and cities, and they'll keep reusing it. It'll be recycled. But what I liked about this movie was there was a whole different type of scenery. There was barns, there was wilderness, there was rivers, there was brick roads, there was different things, right? So you get to see these things also, not for it being CGI or fake, but for what they actually are. Right, so I like that. So I enjoy the scenery also too. You know, I wanted to throw that in there also.
That's a good point, dude. Which, like I said, they just move. Like you said, movies just stick to one scene or one area of filming, and it gets boring, it gets bland.
Yeah. No, they did a really great job with everything they did in this movie with cinematography, scenery, plot, story. Everything was really well done. Again, I won't say like I don't know if it's nostalgia for me, but like nothing really beats Lon Chaney Jr. for me in a lot of ways, and I feel like this movie lives up to that level. It definitely lives up to that level, and is one of those that I would say anybody who's a fan of Universal Monsters, anybody who's a fan of werewolf movies and the classic werewolf style, then you will enjoy this movie because it's a combination of like Lon Chaney Jr. with fucking violence. And you're gonna enjoy that. You know, it is enjoyable as a film itself, and even more so if you're watching it with company, because you get to do what we did, which is literally discuss things mid-movie and have fun with it. And, there's certain scenes that you're gonna laugh at because, okay, every time the axe monitor pops up, it's like a fucking whack-a-mole. Like he just comes out, "Hi, I'm here," and it's just great how he does it. And
doesn't talk or nothing, man. It's just
he never says a word. And his first appearance is like the greatest appearance ever. Like his first time he shows his face, you're just like, "What the hell? Where'd he come from?" And
it was quick. It was like,
yeah.
Hold up, go back, rewatch this.
Yeah.
What?
It was fantastic.
Was he following them? Like
his evil smile in that first scene was just great.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It was a psychotic smile. Like it was just like, I'm just enjoying this moment right now.
Yeah.
And it was just really well done. So I would say for me, what's going to be the rating scale? Because the first one, 10, the first one we did 10, and then last one we did 5.
Yeah, the last
review.
Go 10? The last review I did 5 out of 5.
Yeah.
Myself.
You did 3 out of 5 for the movie.
Well, no, the 5 rating scale. I'm so sorry.
So you'll do 5 rating scale?
No, this one I would suggest we do out of 10.
1 out of 10? Okay.
No, not 1 out of 10. No, out of 10.
No, yeah, from 1 to 10.
From 1 to 10. Yeah, from 1 to 10. I mean, I guess Roy wants to go first. I'll go. No.
Okay, I'm gonna give this 7 out of 10 for myself. 7 out of 10 for myself. And it partly takes place because of Paul Naschy's backstory, but just me being such a fan of Universal Monsters immediately pulled me in once I saw the homages they did to Lon Chaney and to Universal Monsters in the movie itself.
Right.
Like there's one scene where immediately I look at Mac and I'm like, that's a Lon Chaney homage. That's it right there. Because you see the back, they pull back, you see the Wolfman face, and it's the Lon Chaney version of that Wolfman face. And then they come back down, and then they complete their transformation.
Yes.
And it was just really well done. A beautiful homage. And immediately I was just like, I love it. I love it. And you get it with the violence, with the gore, with all of the different storyline that kind of makes it more of an expanded thing to appreciate. And yeah, for me, 7 out of 10.
All right, cool. I like that. Armando?
Honesty.
Honest rating.
Yeah, that's what
I'm gonna give it a 7.5. 7.5.
Okay.
Because at first I was skeptical. Right?
Yeah, that horseback scene.
That horseback scene fucked me.
I don't deny it. I don't blame you.
Yeah, it had me already that I'm about to grade this shit as a 1. Alright? Even a 0.9. I was going to go there. I'm not going to lie to you.
Damn.
But then, when I saw that scenery in the beginning about them being hung, that panoramic shot, then we started getting further into the film. Saw the film. Saw some titties. I'm just keeping it 100 right now.
1970s titties.
Yeah.
I love this, man.
You know, I'm keeping it 100 right now. Saw some titties. Yeah. Saw the transitions, the homage, right? But then, what made me also raise my rating was literally reading up on this man.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm gonna keep it honest.
It opened the door.
It opened the door
to like research Paul Naschy and find out more. Well, Jacinto Molina, right? To research more about him and his career and everything else he's done. To the point that, like we said, that we're hunting now. Now we're gonna be looking out there for the Paul Naschy collection.
Exactly.
So aside from the film itself, just being intrigued by this guy, just push that up a little bit more, because now you're not just seeing the film for a film. Now you're seeing the film of him. Now you're seeing. And what I like is that he's done these films with the same cast members.
Yeah.
So they have great chemistry now with each other. You can see they have great chemistry. So I like the work ethic. I like the creativity. I like what the movie's about. I like that he adores this genre, to say the least. And the way it transitioned for me, because in the beginning I was like, what the fuck am I sitting through? And then as it developed, it got better and better.
Why did I leave my house?
No, I want to leave my house. But you know what I'm saying? Like, it made it that much better. So, for other people, other individuals who might be fans may rate it the same way, or a little lower or lesser, for whatever the case is. But guess what? Just, it actually really intrigued me to a whole different level where I have to scale it high. So other people are going to look at this movie like, oh, that movie doesn't deserve a praise over a 5. Well, guess what? It really caught me by surprise, so I got to give it the rating I want to give it, because it really did get me by surprise.
No, good answer.
You know?
I like that.
Yeah.
What I like too, when he said that, most people will give it out of 5. So we did see IMDb gave it about 5.5 out of 10. But also, again, with Randall, Armando, I'm on the same boat that the movie does start off slow, cheesy, but it does pick up. Not only that, watching it with friends or any other person, you will enjoy more. If I would have watched this alone, I probably would have rated it about a good, like I said, IMDb a 4 or 5. But like I said, we looked at the index and we saw the trailer, we saw the interview, we read about 15 pages about Paul Naschy.
Yeah.
His life story and whatnot. And it's like, I actually read like about 15 pages of this guy. Like, there's a reason why I did it.
I think the funnier part about that would be the fact that we read those 15 pages, watched the interview, and immediately my response is like,
"Oh yeah,
we just read all this."
So the interview basically
was what we read.
So
there was more in-depth details in the pages written out, but you could have just listened to the interview and got enough of this guy, like. Charisma, personality-wise, this guy pulls you in right away. Like, he definitely is one of those people that you can sit there and talk to for hours about this stuff and not get bored at any point.
Correct. Yeah.
So
to end that, I do give it a 8 out of 10.
Nice.
Not to rate it higher.
It literally was like the range, right? 7.5, 8.
Yeah, I was gonna give it an 8.5, but I was like,
I think 8 is decent for this.
I lowered it, a 0.5 due to how slow it was in the beginning. Like I said, the transition of Daninsky being the werewolf.
Yeah.
It was awesome. The homage to
Lon Chaney Jr.
Lon Chaney Jr.
Yeah.
And just the titties, the 70 titties. Sorry, but hey.
Listen.
It was fun watching it with friends, and
bro.
I got a kick out of it more. And I suggest watch special editions, special features. Look into the interviews.
The trailer was great too.
Oh, the trailer was
Curse of the Devil.
Exactly. It was a lengthy trailer.
Yeah, very lengthy trailer. It took like 3 minutes.
Exactly.
What I liked about the trailer to Ad Mac is just that they showed the same axe cutting scene like 4 times.
True.
It was great to me. Like they did that on purpose. Like you want to see somebody get murked? Here you go. This is it right here. Like okay,
so with that said, 7.5, an 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
It's a film you should check out.
I would absolutely recommend it, even more so if you're a fan of Universal Monsters. You definitely have to put this and Paul Naschy on your list, because you're not going to regret it. You really will not regret it. Exactly. And I'm sure we're going to be finding our way to getting all these Paul Naschy films, and we're going to talk about Paul Naschy for a bit, because he definitely attracted and interested us in a very, very big way, with just his history, his background, and just the way he expressed his admiration and love for that world of horror when it comes to these creatures, these monsters that birthed the beginning of horror.
Yeah.
This was the beginning of horror, was the Universal Monsters. So now you're getting this guy who admired and loved that and expressed it through his entire repertoire of work. And I that's a man that I respect and love with that. Just by that alone.
Exactly.
Like, I don't give a damn. It's the first film I see, and I'm already like, I love this guy.
Yeah, I'm biased as fuck right now.
Yeah.
And will be. But besides Naschy, I'm also gonna try to find movies from Leon Klimovsky, the Argentinian director.
Yeah.
But that'll be later on. But we're gonna concentrate on this, and I think that should do it for
for Curse of the Devil. Yeah.
And we're gonna come back and do our second review.
Yeah, we'll be back real quick and do another quick review. Hopefully it'll be quick for a movie I've finally experienced now, one that Mac had already seen before. But
a childhood favorite of mine.
Yeah, and man, do we have a lot of things to talk about on that. It won't be extensive, but it will be a lot to talk about. But Randall, Armando, and Mac.
This has been Ram Film Reviews.
Y'all leaving?